Section of the videotape series will focus in on throws. We'll take a look at the back arch, the back step, and the pivot throw. Included also are teaching methods and basic principles as they relate to each type of throw. The first type of throw we're going to take a look at is a back arch throw. There's three elements, key elements to the back arch throw. The first is the bridge, and the bridge we can look at as being the foundation of the throw. The second thing is the back arch, and the back arch, keep in mind that the back arch is the follow-through for the throw. And the third part, probably the most important part, is the hip hop, and the hip hop is the dynamic or the power for the throw. When a wrestler's mastered those three skills, he's ready to go on and to do the back arch throw. So we'll start with the bridge. And again, as we talked about in the basic skill tape, we've got certain ways we want our athletes to do the bridge. Feet about 4 or 6 inches from the waist, a good solid foot base. Elevate the hips. You can elevate the hips, keep his shoulders down on the mat. He's going to make the bridge by pushing with his thighs and his hips. And we'll do the bridge technique. Feet could come a little bit closer to the body. Again, one of the things that we want to keep in mind through this entire progression is that the force in all of these skills should be up and back compared to down and forward. Again, the principle is this: the knee can go above the toe, but the knee shouldn't go in front of the toe. Again, you can see in the bridge, the knee comes forward, and then pushing into the bridge, the knee's up and back. All right, so the second skill then, when the wrestlers mastered the bridge, we go to the back arch. We start out with the two-handed back arch drill. Wrestler's going to step in. Now, before he starts, he's going to step in, he's going to change his level. This is an important part of this. And then he's going to start his back arch by extending up with his thighs, and he's going to go right into his back arch motion. Very good. And again, we want to key in on the knees and the hips. Make sure that there's a force going up as he goes into his arch. And the other thing we want to key in is on the knee to make sure the force is going up and back. And one more time, we'll show an example of poor back arch skills with the knees going down and forward. Notice the force going down. Notice the bridge is not real fluid. So again, one more good back arch, down and up. And now we're ready to go to the next step. We have to add a turn to complete the back arch. So we're going to go with a one-handed back arch. The wrestler's going to start in pretty much the same position, good low hip position. One-handed, he's going to arch. This time we're going to add a roll through. He's going to turn away from his opponent or from his partner. Steps in, good solid position. Again, key in on the knees. Nice fluid back arch. As you notice too, as we do this, the back arch drills, that there's a counterbalance that takes place. Now, the key part with the counterbalance is this low hip position, and as he arches back, he explodes up with the hips. As the hips go up, the head goes back down to the mat, and it really lessens up the impact on the head. Now what we'll look at here is a poor example of the bridge. Now, if the wrestler starts with low hips, starts to bring his hips up, going into the back arch, it's all or nothing here. If he pulls his head or if he flattens his back, he's going to land hard on the mat, and we're going to see how we take away from that counterbalance. So you must stress to your athletes that when they do this, they've got to do a full arch, looking back, going all the way through with it. All right, now the next step again, the next step will be doing the same back arch, roll through without a partner. Same position. And for safety purposes, you can see that the wrestler's using his hands, especially when they're first learning this, to make sure that they have the confidence to do this. Again, at any point in time, when the wrestler's not developed in these skills, the coach can come back. We can use a coach or a training partner to spot the athlete. And he can also use a crash pad if that's possible to as a safety feature here, give him a little more confidence and arch through until he's confident to do it on the mat all by himself. Now go ahead and do a couple more on the mat here all by yourself. Good arch, good counterbalance. The final step in the progression is the hip hop. And for the hip hop drill, what we're going to do is we're going to have one passive partner and one active partner. The passive partner is going to present himself with his feet together. He's going to drop one arm to his side, the other arm up, and his partner, the hip hop driller, is going to walk up he's going to straddle with a foot on each side, and then before he changes level, he's going to be chest to chest, hip to hip, belly to belly. There should be no space here. That's the first part. The second thing is he's going to drop, changes level. Now he's going to lock and pull. And see how he sits back and then hip hop. And notice again how the motion and the force is up and back. Very important point in being able to execute the body lock at this point. This skill is very important for the wrestler to develop. Common mistakes with the hip hop, wrestlers will want to come and take a lock and they'll be all tight and nervous in here. They'll be moving around with their feet. They'll want to jump in and try to throw the guy. We want to avoid that. We want to take away the anxiety. We want to just do a gradual progression into this. If a kid's doing that, just back them up. Say, just listen, relax, come up. The progression with the hip hop is chest to chest, straddle, drop, lock, pull, hip pop. Don't let them lock before they get their hips into position. The hip position is really important in this. Drop, lock and pull, and pop. Very good. Now, one other part of this, I want you to take a look at this lock and pull action. Blue is going to drop, he's going to lock and pull, but now he's going to let go of his lock. Notice how he starts to fall backwards. I want to contrast that with a common problem. Blue's going to take a lock now, and he's going to bend his opponent forward and backwards. Now, if he does a hip hop from this position, hip hop, and if he goes forward as a follow-through, you can be pretty certain that his force is not up and back, that he's moving forward and away. One other key little thought with this, the hip hop is not a pop directly into the wrestler. You're not pushing him out and away. You're pulling and you're popping up and over the back. So again, if Blue takes this and he pops his hip in and falls forward, okay, that was a good hip pop. This time Blue's going to take a lock. He's going to pop the hips out and forward, and you can watch him go forward. Again, that's the opposite direction that we want to go. Drop, lock, pull, pop. Very good. Now, when we've mastered that skill, the wrestler's ready to do the body lock throw. Crash pads are real good at this point. We want to pull a crash pad out, have a coach present, and for learning purposes, again, we're going to have the partner present himself again in this position here. Feet together, hand at the side, and we're going to have the thrower in front of him, and start it the exact same way we just did our hip hop drill. Chest to chest, hip to hip, drop, lock, hip hop, and go. One other thing that needs to be mentioned at this point in time is that generally speaking, you'll want to train, you'll always want to throw to the trapped arm side. So train your athletes to roll through on the trapped arm side. Okay, now we're ready to put it all together. Drop, lock, pull, hip hop, and through. This is a simple, easy method for teaching the body lock throw, a method that gives the athletes confidence, takes away their anxiety. This is probably the most difficult throw, but also a technique that is rewarded with the highest amount of points.
Here's a great example of this belly-to-belly throw with Sergei Demyashkevich of Russia, world champion in 1990.
We've just seen a back arch throw from the belly-to-belly position. Once an athlete's mastered this throw, it can be thrown from any part of the body. It can be thrown from the front, from the side, and from the back. Since we've already seen the belly-to-belly position, we're going to go on and show a side throw and two throws from the back that are very common in Greco-Roman wrestling. The first one we're going to look at is a step-around body lock. Again, step-around body lock describes itself. The wrestlers are going to start from an over-under lock. The thrower is going to step around to one side, so he's on the side of his opponent. He blocks the leg just for a moment, and then he's going to do hip hop into a belly to back. And this time we're going to do one more, and he's just going to continue with the motion. We looked at body attacks earlier. Any type of an attack that takes you to the body, you can throw out of that and turn it into a high amplitude throw. Now we're going to look at a belly-to-back position, which I think has scared many coaches off. But the first belly-to-back we're going to do is going to be straight over the top for 5 points. Now, a couple things before we do this. You want to have the opponent's feet off the mat before you go into this throw. The hip hop in this is not as important as it is in a belly-to-belly or a belly-to-side position. The important thing is that the feet are off and that there's a high arch and that it's a controlled throw. The other thing is where the wrestler locks is very important. If the wrestler locks higher on his opponent's back, it's going to be harder to take him over through the air. So you really want to lock down on the waist as low as you can for maximum effectiveness in this throw. And we'll just see an example here. The feet come off, get the feet off, pause for a second, and a nice controlled back arch right through. Now, when you're teaching athletes how to do this throw, you need to constantly let them know that they need to cooperate with their partners, that the safety of their partner is in their hands. On this particular throw, the man being thrown needs to just tuck his head and do a back roll all the way through. You should prepare him how to fall a little bit. And we'll look at that one more time. Again, notice the ease of the motion. There's not a hip hop. The wrestler doesn't rush the throw, gets his feet off the ground, and goes right into his belly to back for 5 points.
Here's 1989 world silver medalist Mike Ford of the USA with a great example of this belly to back throw. World and Olympic champion Oleg Kucherenko of Russia uses a lift to perform these examples of a belly-to-back throw.
Now we're going to look at another belly to back. This time we're going to go from a side position. Instead of taking it all the way over the top, the wrestler is going to be at a 90-degree angle to his partner. And the key thing here that we want to emphasize is the tightness of the lock. We want to make sure that when the thrower does the back arch, that he rotates and brings his opponent's hips all the way through with them. The hip pop is important here. Hip pop and tightness. So we want even more explosion than that. Powerful hip pop and explode and rotate your opponent through the air as quick and as powerfully as you can. Hip pop.
We're going to look at several examples of a lift which goes to the side position for this belly to back throw.
The next back arch throw we're going to look at is a sag body lock. And first of all, in the progression of teaching the sag, the belly-to-belly body lock should be mastered first. The sag should come later. It's a little bit more of an advanced throw. But I'd like to show a continuation of a method. After they've mastered a back arch throw, you can bring them in and do a sag. The very first thing that we'd like to do with that is just make sure that their body position is correct. So we're going to take one partner, and again, he's going to present himself to his partner, wide base, one hand at the side. Now, the driller is going to step in. Now, at this point in time, what we need to look at here, notice he's penetrating at the same side that he's trapping the arm. Now, what we want to do is it's a sag body lock, so sagging or hanging